Peace. What's the science, universal family, on another glorious day of the science of living mathematics? And what is today's mathematics? It is equality for the 6th day of the month. And what is your 6th letter in the alphabet? The answer is F. And what is F in the supreme alphabet? Father. Fatherhood. And let's get right to it. Yesterday I was building about emotional quality and putting that together with father, the qualities of a father. I would like to build on a lot of situations that we fathers go through, and the struggles of wanting to see our kids. And one thing I say is that we have to be able to take care of the emotional quality of fathers, because we go through a lot of crap too. We have emotions too. We feel too. And a lot of that feel, for some reason, is always in negative feelings, because we want to be able to see our kids and whatever situations you got going on with baby mom or whatever, because I went through it, and now it's not a negative, because I made sure I maintained that positive relationship with my son, and it's all fun. And that was the goal. For me, I made sure I didn't do things in a negative fashion where it can cause me not to see my son. So I had to soldier up, and just deal with what's being thrown at me, and that equality is something that's very important through all of us, how you deal with others. And this is important, that you don't take out your issues with your significant other and pass that on to your kids. And that's not something that is good, because your kids will be directly affected. You eventually will get over it, but your kids will have that trauma. You know what I mean? So it's important that we balance ourselves out emotionally. We're always talking about you got to eat a balanced, diet and breakfast and all that type of stuff, and you got to have a balanced mind. But how about your emotions? And I built up about this before. In a lot of our cultures, we men are taught not to feel. So our equality is never on point, because a lot of our social interactions have to do with having emotional quality, and for women, one of the abilities, I should say, that you guys have is to be able to attach an emotional value to different events throughout your life, and it's important. So if we are here telling our young boys, don't cry, don't do this, don't do that, eventually what's going to happen is that they're going to grow up and be just a solid brick wall. That's it, no emotion. And then you're going to want them to be emotionally available. But how are they going to be emotionally available if all you did is teach your kids? You want your man to be emotionally available, but yet at the same time you're teaching your young sons, stop crying, just walk it off, stop being a little girl, stop being this, stop being that. You know what I'm saying? Like, which one is it? And then we show the emotions, and all of a sudden it's a sign of weakness. It's not right and exact. So this is important, that we pay attention to these things and take care of fathers, because we progress the development of our children. Not saying, because I've been in through that fatherhood panel I told you guys about, someone was like, oh, well, you're saying that we women are not important. Nobody said that. The mothers are. But fathers are important. And it's even better when you have both parents there. You know what I'm saying? Getting both sides of the perspectives. You know what I'm saying? You have the father's point of view and you have the mother's point of view. So with that being said, let's look at equality as a whole. Not just the emotional quality of said person, but equality is to be equal in things, right? And this is the level where I like to picture it as the clouds, right? Because when water evaporates and it rises up in the Earth's atmosphere, it's about at the 6 miles above. Obviously, you have different types of clouds, and they all at different levels. But 6 miles is usually the typical, and it is at this level that you can be deceived per se, right? Because you got the clouds, you know, especially on a cloudy day, it's thundering and lightning and it's raining, it's cold. But if you notice, when you go above the 6, the level of 7, it's nice, sunny, and the sky's not the limit. You realize you got all of space. You could go beyond, you know what I mean? But today's mathematics is about equality. So within there is no I as a little u's. There is no I'm better than you or I'm lesser than you. This is where you learn to interact and learn to humble yourself, because you think that you might be better because you're in a higher position in your job wise or anything like that. And it's important that we humble ourselves. I know yesterday I talked about job promotions and all that, because that's what I just got. Recently I got a job promotion, and one of the things that people tell me, they come up to me, is seeing that I'm not letting it get to my head. And that's important. And like yesterday I said, you know, looking at the difference between a leader and a manager, you know what I mean? And this is important to look at, because with equality, you got to treat everybody fairly. You know, I look at it like this. In our lessons, in 120 lessons, we have something that's called the solar facts, and which says Mercury is 36 million miles from the sun, Venus is 67 million miles from the sun, Earth is 93 million miles from the sun. You know, they're just breaking down all the distances. You know, if you look further into these degrees, the way I look at me as a sun, the sense of my solar system, depending on the interactions with people, whether positive or negative, let's say, using it in a good and bad connotation, I place people on different planets per se. It's like, I'm putting this person in Pluto, keeping them further away from my light and heat, you know, so they're gonna freeze up. And being careful not to bring people too close, because they'll burn up, you know. And just looking at the different qualities of all the planets that we know of with the sciences that we have today, applying those qualities to those numbers of how far they are, right? So dealing with equality, you have to know, and you have to be able to balance one yourself. The next is balancing out how you interact with others. Well, this person, you know, been through some stuff recently, so I gotta adjust how I say things. You know what I mean? And it's not conforming to everybody. It's just being mindful of certain things. You know, that's like, for example, a couple who's trying to conceive and they can't, and then here you are talking crap about, oh, kids suck and kids this and that, it's not even worth it, you know, not knowing how they feel, or you just not being mindful of that, and you don't care, and you're saying that, you know what I'm saying? That means your equality's not as good, because again, your equality is also it's dealing with sociology, man. Just the science of being social and having proper social skills, and not everybody has that. Not everybody who gets promoted per se has proper social skills, and this is important, because you got to learn how to delegate. You got to learn how to look at every situation differently, because every situation is different. And just reading body language, you know, facial expressions, micro expressions in the face, you know, just like when you say something, you catch somebody in the eyes, You see that? Just like the real quick eye, just looking at the face turns a little red. You got to be able to read these things, and obviously it can be used for sinister purposes, because again, at the level of equality, all you see is the mist, just the clouds out there. Anything is there, and it's almost blinding per se, because it's not shadow, but it's not blinding light either. And you could kind of see it's in the between is the shadows per se, because the other one is darkness. No, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's total darkness and total light, and in the middle you'll have shadows, and that's what the clouds are. And looking at what wisdom is, right? Wisdom is also water, fluid, things that you say, right? So what is clouds composed of? Microscopic water droplets, right? And in order for, let's say, ice to form, it needs to have a base. It needs to have like a dust particle at its center, so that way it has something to grow out of. This is why rain clouds look darker, because it's just the dust that's in the air, and just water is able to just kind of grab onto it through, I guess, electrostatic, and just starts to build. Once it gets heavy enough, it just starts to, fall back down to the ground through gravity. And we have to look at all these things and being able to apply it. Some things you take it for what it is. Others you take it for what it appears to be. In the sense of, like, when they talk about Jesus walked on water, it's not literally. This is something that's figuratively speaking, on itself. And it's important that we know how to discern things that is meant to be symbolic, while others are meant to be taken literal. And this is important for us, for our growth and development, and learning how to deal with equality. Because if we all learn to deal with equality and not just be selfish and want people to treat us good, but then you just want to be an a-hole, then doesn't work like that. That's what one of the most basics: treat others as you would want to be treated. And I know nobody wants to be treated harshly. So anybody who says that, they're just talking out the rear end. With equality, it comes down to like the yin and yang, push pull, not good and evil. That's a Western concept. Yin yang doesn't represent that. Push pull, up down, yes no, opposite concepts. And we have to be able to discern that. Our equality, you have a scale, the balance, and being able to determine, because remember, when you try to balance things out, so if the scale is like this and you put something else on there, remember that it will do one of these, and it takes time for it to just boom and then be stable. But you always know that you are in the center, and if you tip a little bit to this way, then this one is going to tip more that way. You know what I'm saying? So it's always important that we look at these things and know that you control your balance, not things outside of you, not the people talking crap about you. And I know it can affect you, because words are spells, right? Because it's why we call it spelling. So it's kind of casting spells. When they say something, it can negatively impact you emotionally. You can say something positive. Sometimes when people are depressed and all they need is just some positive action, and it changes the whole complete. Like, I just finished coming from the supermarket, and one thing I always do, because again, it's just fun to me, and I'm a child at heart, and every time I have the shopping cart, I get on, like if it was a skateboard and like a scooter, and I just get on it. And I did that while I was bringing it back to where it needs to go. I'm not one of those people that just leave it out nowhere because the thing is 2 cars away, and it's like, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those. I actually bring, I don't care, rain, hail, snow, earthquakes, I bring it. And there was an older gentleman who saw it. He put down the window, and he's like, yo, it's good to see that I'm not the only one that still does that. And, it just, it was good to see you doing that. You know what I'm saying? Just that little action that I just normally do brought a glimpse of happiness to this man right here, and had a smile, and that's all he just wanted to do, and just rolled up his window right back. You know what I'm saying? He took the action to tell me, and it's a good feeling too, and this is what I'm saying about equality. You never know who's watching. You know who's relying on you, and they probably don't tell you because they might be shy or might be intimidated or something like that, and they might feel that, oh, I don't want this person to think that I'm being a creep or anything. But it is the quality. I know when I first got the knowledge of myself when I was in high school, I started to stand different. You know, just being more self aware, being more sure of myself, of who I am, and I don't care about what others are thinking. And I remember my friend comes in, she got her hand behind her back, and she was like, you know, Rashawn, you stand different. You're, you're different, not in a bad way. She was just saying, like, I noticed, you know, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know people were looking. You know, obviously this is the lunchroom and everybody's doing their own thing, and I was just standing around. You finish eating, you kind of just stand on the corner with your boys or whatever, and that's what I was doing. But I guess just the energy I was giving off, my equality was noticed, and I carry that to this day, even in my job. And I think I mentioned this before. Just another employee there, just again, another older fellow saw me. He's like, "You still smiling?" I was like, I was like, what do you mean that I'm still smiling? I was like, yeah. He's like, that's good, man. We need that. You know, an environment that's kind of like, obviously at UPS, just moving boxes and stuff like that. A lot of people bring in their negative energies there, and me, I'm always, not that I'm, you know what I'm saying, but everybody I make contact with, hey, how you doing, man? You know, others that are just whatever, you do the, you know, the fist pump or whatever, and over time people started coming up to me. It was just like, yo, that's good that you like that. You know, you never know, somebody could just need something like that, especially from coming from management position. You know, because there's a lot of people out there, they get the position and just everybody else is a shadow. They don't, unless they got to tell you to do something, you know. And not me. Like, I'm always like, man, how you doing, man? How was your weekend? And people that were in the union that was just mean mugging me and all that stuff. It's like, management. And I was like, hey, man, how you doing, man? I was like, hey, I'm doing great. How was your weekend? And it's just my quality. And this is important that we look at that, you know, because again, it's about the quality. Remember, it's not about quantity. It's always been about quality. And you hear this a lot in history, where you have wars, and you have soldiers that are being outnumbered 5-1, let's say, and just because their quality of their training is better, they were able to take out the vast majority. You know, it's important. A good one is the 300. You know how they break it down like that, 300 versus thousands upon thousands. And just looking at that and being able to apply it to self is like, do I have the qualities to be able to look like that? Because again, there's something that you can be like, oh, I'm a nice person. Oh, I'm this, I know I'm that, and this, that. You know, everyone's like, oh, I'm this, I'm real. It doesn't matter what you say. How do other people view you? Because it's one thing that you can say is like, oh, I'm a great leader, but if everybody who's following you or whatever is just like, nah, this person sucks, then you got to look at that. Now, obviously, how you feel about yourself is very different. But again, you can also be lying to yourself. Because remember, quality is dealing with the duality, being able to balance out those dualities. And you could be lying to yourself. It's like, I know I'm a great boss, or I'm a great leader, or whatever. Are you really? You know? Are you a great parent? You know, on social media, you got all these pictures with your kids smiling, but are you like, yo, shut up, sit right there, smile, okay, boom, you know, family time, and then, you know what I'm saying, I was like, what the hell, I told you, shut up and eat your food, you know what I'm saying, like, you see all the fakeness, and you could be like, oh, I'm a great parent, or somebody who doesn't was like, oh, wow, yo, Rashawn, he's a great father, but I could be putting my son in a headlock, you know what I'm saying, just like, eat that last spoon, you know what I'm saying. This is all about how he sees it. Those who are directly affected by your ways and actions, those are the people that you got to see. And if they're telling you you're doing a good job, then that's something that you want to take into. And of course, you're going to get those that are always going to talk negative, that are envious or just jealous. And again, that's just their quality. But you can't let other people's equalities affect you, because again, you are the sole controller. You hold the scale. You know what I'm saying? So you determine what you're gonna let affect you or not. You might not know that you have that ability, but that's something that you possess. That's what I'm striving to do with these videos, and just show that you guys are much more capable of than what you guys think. You know, and it all starts with awareness of self, full, complete awareness of self. You know, not just, oh, this is my name and I know what country I come from, but you know, just learning, starting with learning about your history of your country, what made your country be what it is today, what things affected both positive and negative. You know, and just looking at the history of your parents, you know, so that's something that you guys do. If your parents are still, you know, alive, you know, sit down and ask, oh, how did you guys come to the U.S. or whatever it is? Like, what you guys do first in your spare time? Like, you guys just play with rocks out there? Like, you know, you're gonna have no video games or nothing. What you guys do? You know, and I did that. You know, asked my parents their experience before coming to the U.S. and the process of coming to the U.S. and right after, and same thing with my dad. I asked all those questions, you know, and it's important to get a perspective on what things they've been through, so you can better understand their equality and why they make the decisions that they do, why they react the way that they do. And this is important because you want, eventually, when your kids get old enough, they're gonna want to ask you. It's just like, you know, why do you do that? Or for me and my kids, why don't you like eggplant? Nah, because, you know, I got beef with eggplant. You know, and just tell my son what it is. And I guess it comes down to just the more you learn. It's important, man. Learn others' equality, and you get to see why their equality is the way what it is, and you can do the same for you. You know, and this is what I'm saying about fathers. Society right now, for some reason, is trying to get rid of father. You know, so fatherhood is very important, man. We have to look at those qualities and not forget those qualities. And for those fathers out there that you guys are doing your job, man, I salute you guys. You know, and I will always represent y'all. You know, and for those would-be fathers that are coming in, you know, nervous and everything, yo, you have everything that you need within you. You know, I'm not a fan of reading books and all that stuff because it creates certain unrealistic expectations. And then all of a sudden, if your kids are not hitting certain milestones that is said in the book or the doctors will say, then all of a sudden you start to freak out. Man, trust in your ability to take care. And what I mean is not just keeping your kid alive and then they crying out, you find it annoying, but be fully invested in your child. To me, it was like a science experiment. I was like, oh shit, I wonder if I touch this toe, what is he doing? What kind of scream he does if I, you know what I'm saying? Take a little bite of his arm, you know, just playing with him. You know, something I was always was just my character and just teasing him and just seeing the different reactions. And I was fully vested in my son, and it shows to this day. You know, still play basketball with my son, you know, and obviously he can't guard me. You know what I'm saying? When he watches this video, he'll probably put a comment on there, but you know, he always plays the hardest defense when he's guarding me or something, but when he guards somebody else, he's playing whack. But you know, it is what it is. I got some moves for him that he don't know about, and I'm gonna save it. You know, I'm gonna do it on him. You know what I'm saying? But that's the relationship that we got. And please protect the fathers. Mothers, for Father's Day, don't buy them socks or another tool or fucking a flashlight or something. Let him know that he's important and then that you guys are seeing that, because we need that, you know, because society is not doing it. And all we can do is wait till our kids get older, you know, because when they're young, they give us hugs and all that, but that helps. But it's when they're older and they see what's really out there, and they could come back to you, and it's like, yo, thank you, and you never know. They're always paying attention. They're always paying attention. They're looking at how your moves you're making. I know I had said the stories in one of my other videos when I had my car parked and somebody crashed into it. My son the whole time was just watching how I was reacting to it, and obviously I stayed calm. I was upset because it's like, damn, now I can't go to work. Now I can't do this. Now it's an inconvenience. But I wasn't like, F this and throwing F bombs and punching walls and trying to fight somebody. No, I was just, because again, none of that negative energy was not going to bring my stuff back. So why bother? You know what I mean? And they're watching your quality of your emotions. So take that into account. If your father's still out there, give that man a hug. And you know what I mean by fathers. I'm not talking about daddy, you don't know him, you only see him out there, you kind of know him, but he never bothered to be there. But for fathers who have been there, and then I know there's a lot of times that you might feel as a child, let's say, that your father was never there, but there might be more to that, because I do know there's a lot of mothers out there that make it nearly impossible for fathers to see their kids, and what the fathers, the only thing that they can do to not end up in jail is just wait till the kids get older just to see them. And it's like in the movie Ocean's 12, mom was like, yo, if you come around and our daughter, I'm gonna call the cops and all that. And he waited. Yeah, he was old. Obviously the movie is about those thieves and all that, but at the end she's like, oh, where the hell you been? He's like, yo, been waiting. So ever since the mom passed away, as soon as that, he started putting things in motion to be able to finally see his daughter after all those years. And that's how we are, man. We'll wait as long as possible to be able to see our kids finally, and they'll be able to see it in our interactions, and eventually they get old enough and they'll see through the lies and be like, yo, so you've been sending me letters every week or whatever, and mom just never gave them to me. You know what I mean? And this is not bashing mothers, but we do know, let's be real. Dealing with the balance is deal with the real. I'm not just gonna sit there and talk about the good. We gotta talk about the bad. There are mothers out there that make it impossible for fathers out there that really want to be. Because we know that there's a lot of men out there that don't even care about the kids or anything like that. And those are the ones that always get it easy for some reason. But for us fathers that really want to be there for our kids, I don't know why, we just like the hardest resistance for some reason. Just like, oh, I mean, you was over, but can I just be with my kid too? Like, damn, just let us be. So just want to give you guys that, and just my experience as a father. I was young when my son was born. I was 19, not him. I was 19, and I was nervous because I was young. And one of the things I put in my mind was to make sure that I stay healthy enough to when my son is old enough that we could do activities together. We can go travel around the world together and stuff like that. And I'm happy that I'm able to do those things with him now. So with that, I'm gonna say peace. Please subscribe and smash that like button. And go check out ferronovo.com. And obviously these are one of the t-shirts, or I say long sleeves, that you can get. And obviously all these things are detachable. You know what I'm saying? They're from the Velcro, as you can see. And it's all obviously just one word designs that I could put on here. It could be anything from love, motherhood, fatherhood, just like you saw the one I had on the other day, legendary, breathe, all these words, and you'll see it on the website. It's ferronovo.com, FERONOVO.com. And eventually I'm going to start having more stuff on there as my time frees up. All right, so enjoy the rest of this glorious day, people. Peace.